guys, welcome back to my channel. Another video. Whoop, 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 whoop. Three videos in the last week. Obviously, you can tell I'm winding down from the craziness. I'm feeling a little bit more clear-headed and more focused that I can do these videos. Let's just jump right into what this video is about and its reasons why you are not losing weight. So I did this video a long time ago, so I thought it was a good time to refresh our memories, refresh this video. There are many reasons why we aren't losing weight, why we're holding fat, why our body hasn't changed no matter what we've done in the gym, with our diet. So let's name off some of the reasons why we aren't losing weight. Diet, exercise, stress, sleep, hormones, health conditions, body type, and age. So a lot of you are already probably relating with any of those that I just listed off. So we're gonna touch into each of those just a little bit, just to bring clarity and a little bit understanding to you and your situation. Maybe this is gonna help you to get you from being stuck to get you going. You guys probably already know, and you probably hear it all the time, is diet. Diet is one of the biggest things, but most of us think it's just maybe either cutting out calories or cutting out certain foods, and boom, magic, we're gonna get all the weight loss and the progress that we want. Those of you who might have been eating too much or been eating too much of the wrong foods, yes, you're probably gonna get progress, you're probably gonna lose weight as soon as you start that, but you are gonna plateau, you are gonna stop because maybe you did cut too much food and maybe you're not eating enough food and enough of the right foods. First things first is I highly recommend any of you just starting out, calculating your calories, because one, you're gonna know how much you should be intaking according to your goals, and it's gonna keep you on track. So you're not gonna be either overeating or undereating according to the exercise that you're doing. And there's several apps that you can use, or you can even just write out your own program, write out the serving sizes you need that fit into your calorie and macro goals. Most of us, when we're first starting off, fat loss, we're thinking, cut it out, cut everything out, don't eat anything. When we cut out too much foods, and then we jump into just doing way too much exercise, and of course we're gonna plateau. Your body gets to a point where it goes into survival mode. You're not eating enough. There's not enough going in to account for all the energy that you are expending. Your body is smart. It's naturally gonna go into survival mode, and it's gonna stop losing weight. It's probably gonna start cannibalizing muscle tissue just to try to keep up with what you're doing, and that could be over exercising. So having a balance between your calorie intake and also your energy expenditure, so energy in, energy out, there should always be a balance no matter what it is. If it's weight gain, it's maintain, or fat loss. You should always have a balance with that. You shouldn't just cut everything and then try to train at this intense level. Eventually, you're just gonna sabotage yourself. You are gonna plateau. Those of you that have already been doing this for a while, and you're like, you made a lot of progress and now you came to a halt. You're not making progress. You're getting stressed out. You're getting tired. You don't know what's going on. Maybe it's time to, yes, go back and recalculate your calories to what you're doing. Making those small adjustments, sometimes just adding in. I've talked about this in previous videos, sometimes just adding in a little bit more food. Doesn't mean a massive amount, maybe just a small amount. Just that small increase might just jump you. Your metabolism burning again, getting you burning fat correctly and maintaining and preserving muscle correctly, and then you're gonna be on your way again to making progress. Don't believe everything you hear, you guys, okay? Carbs are not your enemy, fat is not your enemy, and sugar is not your enemy. Food in general, too much of something can be the enemy to you. So again, it comes down to the balance and balancing everything between each other. Carbs, you need carbs. Carbs is always going to be your body's #1 energy source because your body depends on that for fuel. If you're going on a low carb diet, you notice that you're just lethargic. You're like, you can't think. And that's because probably you're not eating enough carbs. You're not eating enough in general to give your brain the fuel it needs to even think to do what you're doing. You need carbs. Doesn't matter if it's high, moderate, or low, you still need some amount of carbs. Fat is not your enemy either. Same thing, a balance. No matter if it's high, moderate, or low, you still need fat. And you don't need these things just for energy purpose, but for health reasons, so that everything can function properly. Everything in your body depends on every single different food item to function normally, to keep you healthy, to keep you going, to keep your performance, hair, nails, skin, eyesight, brain, joints. It needs these things. Sugars are not your enemy. Maybe processed sugars, too much processed sugars, too much processed fat, too much processed the sodium. Those can be your enemy if eaten in abundance. Now, I always really stress, if you're gonna have any types of sugars, the best is natural sugar. nature's candy. That could come from your fruits or from various different, honey, maple, things like that. And also sugars fall into simple carbs, which can be another carb source, another fuel source for your body besides just the health benefits. So now that we touched into diet a little bit, make sure that you're eating the right amount, because maybe the reason why you're not making progress is because you're not eating enough, or you're still overeating, or you're eating too much of something and there's not a balance. And now that falls into training. A lot of us are not eating enough and we're overtraining. Not training harder, training smarter. And that couldn't be any more true, especially as long as I've been doing this and why I do it as a professional. Some of us, we have our diet laid out for us, but we're overtraining. So we're not eating enough for what the amount of energy that we're expending. Some of us who, if you're going extra hard in the gym, you're training maybe 6 days a week, maybe you're doing double days, anything along those lines, you might not be eating enough, and that's why you're not making progress. It doesn't mean train harder with the low calorie diet that you're already doing. It maybe just means maybe keep training at that level, but maybe you need a little bit more food to make a little bit more progress. Keep in mind, you guys, you do not have to do hours of cardio. Okay? In your face in the industry for the longest time that you have to do massive amounts of cardio to make progress. Depends on what you're doing. If you're a marathon runner, you need to do a lot of running. You need to build your conditioning and your endurance. But if you're just somebody who's just everyday average Joe, just going to the gym, just want to look good, just want to feel good, you don't need to be doing hour to hour of cardio. You don't need to be doing it every single day. 20, 30 minutes max, maybe 3 or 4 times a week is all you should be doing. You should be having a balance between weight training and cardio. Most of us make the mistake thinking that, cardio is going to make us lose all this fat. To a certain extent, yes. But if you're trying to maintain muscle, you want those curves, you want to have some muscle on your body. You can't be doing a whole bunch of cardio, because cardio eventually, again, if you don't have your diet in conjunction, they're not balanced together, you're just gonna be burning your muscle tissue. You're not gonna keep muscle on your body. And you wanna have a balance between resistance training and cardio. Keep in mind too, whatever program that you start off with to lose weight, either add more intensity to your exercise, you add more exercise just to keep making progress. You're gonna have to continue that same kind of routine to maintain your physique, because that's what you did to make progress in the first place. That is what you were doing to lose weight. So it's good to have a properly smart, structured program starting off in the first place, because you don't want to be doing an hour of cardio every single day, an hour of training every single day, and this is what you did to make progress. But as soon as you stop, very likely you could be gaining all the weight back, unless you're counterbalancing it with something else. So always start off with a smart program, diet and training. Again, don't freak out if you've already been on this, maybe training too much, not eating enough. Don't freak out. There's room for adjustment to make those small changes to come back. Again, maybe it is just dropping down your training a little bit if you don't want to increase calories. So dropping that down to match that calorie intake. Or maybe you want to keep that amount of exercise and maybe just increasing your calorie intake to match that. It doesn't need to be overcomplicated. It's just reevaluating your situation and being like, okay, now I see. Because most of us just keep going on this and we don't take the time to educate or understand what's going on. So all we think is just exercise harder, eat less. That's a no-no. Don't do that, because you're not going to go anywhere. So just reevaluate those two, make those small adjustments, and go from there. I promise you, for probably 95% of you, just making those adjustments in your diet and your training is going to make a huge difference. You're going to start making progress again. That's the mistakes that they're making, is just they're not eating enough and they're training too hard. So once you get those in balance, I promise you're going to probably start seeing the progress you want again. Stress. I feel like most of us have way too much stress in our lives now, and especially as women, because we're working, we're either working moms, we're stay-at-home moms, or we're trying to go to school, and we're trying to work, or we're trying to juggle and balance so much. This can go for men too. And stress is a huge culprit to why we're unhealthy, either mentally and physically, and why we're not making the progress we want. Stress is a huge culprit. It's a monster sometimes. If we don't find ways to stress relieve, to have a balance, to, you know, just relax and stay connected with ourselves, it leads into hormones, which I'll discuss in a little bit. But they play in part together. Stress, it causes imbalances in the hormones, and especially the hormones that are in charge in burning fat, to telling your body to use fat for energy properly. Then it goes into our adrenals and our thyroid and things that get out of balance, to get depleted, and then they aren't working properly. Most of us are not getting enough sleep in the process because we're stressed out. So yes, in turn, the biggest culprit is you're going to be gaining weight, you're going to have water retention, you're not going to be able to lose weight, your body's stressed out, it can't cope with everything you're doing. When you're already stressed and you're trying to stress yourself out even more through exercise and not eating enough, you can kind of start to see how these all are tying in. So it's not just always diet and exercise. Stress, not getting enough sleep, hormone imbalance, those things play a huge role. And especially for us women, we're trying to focus on way too many things, and we just never give our time self to relax, to get enough sleep, to release, to vent, and come back center again, and to stay in balance. It's really important to find ways to stress relieve, to relax. And that could be 5 minutes, that could be 30 minutes, it could be an hour, it could be a full day. Whatever you can manage, you know what your schedule is, and you know the time that you can fit in for that. It's just a matter of making that time and getting it back into your routine again and getting it into your lifestyle. Because if you haven't had it before, it's going to be hard for you to break away from that routine, to add in that time for yourself. Because most of us women, I get it, you're like, oh, I'm being selfish, I can't take time for myself because I got my kids, I got my husband, I got my boyfriend, I got my family, I got my job, my school, they all take precedence. But that's not true. You are just as important as everyone else. And if you can take just that small amount of time for yourself, something you enjoy, and it could be even going to the gym, but not overdoing it in the gym. But I personally find, things like meditating, maybe going and sitting outside, or going somewhere quiet, going next to a stream or a mountaintop, painting, reading, journaling, reading maybe self-help books. I don't know, anything that just helps you to disconnect from your crazy life that might be stressing you out, or things that are stressing you out, and just coming back down and reconnecting with yourself. It's going to make a world of difference for you in everything that you're doing, and the less stress, the more progress you're going to make with physically, and you're just going to be happier too. And it's going to start integrating in everything in your life. And then that kind of falls into sleep, because we might be stressed out, we might be have anxiety, we might be worried, maybe we're stressing about we're not making progress, we're stressing about our weight, or we could be stressing about school or work or something going on, and that we're not getting enough sleep. Sleep is so important, and getting at least 6 to 8 hours recovery physically and mentally happens when we're sleeping. And also for our bodies to start making more progress, especially with losing weight, it happens when we're sleeping. But if we don't get enough sleep, that it starts to cause the imbalance in our hormones and in the hormones that help us to burn fat. So little things to think about. Again, you can see how this all starts tying into why you might not be losing weight. Maybe you have your diet and your training on point, but you're not making any progress. You might be having way too much stress in your life. You might be stressing or having anxiety for yourself, the way your appearance, comparing, maybe that you haven't made progress, so you're stressing about that. Stop stressing, stop comparing, stop giving yourself anxiety, stop overthinking things, get out of your head. That comes back to doing things for yourself. So I find journaling really helpful for a lot of us, because we get out of our head, we get our thoughts onto paper, and we're actually able to read it, decipher it, and find more clarity in the situation versus just this chaos going in our head that we can't even sift through. We don't even know where to begin. So once you get it on paper, that helps you feeling clear-headed and not stressed out. That's going to help you just make better decisions and take the appropriate action you need to for whatever comes your way, whatever you're dealing with currently. I wouldn't immediately say every single one of us has a health problem, but sometimes if you've done plenty of the other things and you've gotten those in order, you've gotten them in check, and something's just still not right, I highly recommend if you've never done it, getting yourself checked out, knowing your health history in your family. Sometimes there could be underlying things that you aren't even aware of that you're having issues with that are impeding with your progress physically. And even if you're not sure, and you maybe go get some blood work done, you get some tests done or something, you get checked by a professional, by a doctor who specializes in these areas, you might have to make adjustments. You might can't make changes. You might have to do them repetitively before you even figure it out, or your body just clicks and starts making that progress again. The key is sticking in long enough with something and staying patient, staying consistent, and just trusting the process, trusting the journey, because sometimes it takes a little bit longer for others. And then it just happens, it just clicks, and you're like, oh, it's happening, I'm making progress. And it's different for each person. I can't tell you, oh, it's gonna happen to you in 20 days, it's gonna happen to you in 60 days. It happens differently for each person. I know with my own self, through my own journey over the years, it's always been different. Sometimes I'm like, man, I've got progress way quicker than this in the past. There could be a reason why. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. And I did it, and then boom, one day, exactly what I wanted to happen happened. It's knowing that information, actually educating yourself and understanding all of these things, not just going into something and going crazy on it and not even knowing what you're doing. You're just jumping off this ledge, not knowing if it's 100 feet down or if it's 2 feet down. So you have to understand your situation and where you're at before you just jump. Body type and age. There's 3 different body types: endomorph, mesomorph, and ectomorph. I will link my video that actually goes into full detail about that. The 3 body types also play a huge role into the goals that you're trying to achieve. So ectomorph tends to be a very skinny, very fast metabolism, tall, slender body type. Those people tend to have a really hard time putting on muscle, but they stay fairly lean no matter what they do. Then we have mesomorph, which is an athletic, more athletic build, and this person can gain muscle easy but also gains fat pretty easy. Then we have endomorph, which is somebody who has a really hard time gaining muscle, but they gain fat very, very easy. So once you understand your body type, then that's where you want to go into all those other things. You have to structure according to that. An ectomorph body, a naturally thin, fast metabolism person, should not be doing cardio. They should be focusing on resistance training and timing rest, not overdoing it, because you already have a fast metabolism. You don't need to be doing that extra intensity. You want to focus on resistance training, and you're going to have to eat quite a bit of calories to account for your fast metabolism and the training that you're doing. Some of us can follow into an ecto-meso or an ecto-endo, meso-endo. We can kind of be a little bit of both. And if you pay attention and take the time to understand your body, and then you're going to be able to structure your diet and your training according to that. Once we have an understanding of our body type, then age plays a role. Things you could do when you're 25 or younger that you can't do 25 or older. Your body changes, things start slowing down. Doesn't mean you're doomed. Doesn't mean that you're not gonna make progress. I mean, look at some of these 67-year-old people that look phenomenal. So it's just a matter of working with the change, making the appropriate adjustments according to that. Not trying to do the same thing that might have worked for you years ago, because it's not gonna work for you now. You're not doomed, you're not over with. It's just actually taking that time. Take into consideration all these things that I just talked about, doing your research, or if you don't want to do the work yourself, hiring somebody who will coach you, who will educate you through the process and help you to understand and what you should be doing to meet your needs for you in your current situation. And it takes time, it takes patience, it takes it's trial and error. You have to try things in order to know if it's going to work or not, and then not keep doing something that's not working, and breaking out of that mental habit and that fear and that insecurity you might have for changing things, because sometimes your change is going to probably be the best thing for you. Just taking a look at what you're currently doing right now. You're not even just in your fitness life, but also in your life in general, and what you're doing and what could probably be interfering with your progress, why you've plateaued physically. And I know most of us women, we're big culprits to overthinking things and stressing and fearing, and we have our insecurities. So it's finding ways to get through that, to work through that, to not only depend on that. When you're thriving off those insecurities and those fears, you're not helping yourself move forward. Hopefully you guys got a lot of good information from this, some things that might have brought clarity to what you're currently doing right now, that you might have got one of those aha moments. I really hope so. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. Don't forget to turn on post notifications, especially if you guys are missing my videos. And I will see you guys on the next video. Mwah!